Consumer inflation is at the hottest level since 1982, while commodity prices are also on the rise. The CPI Consumer Price Index showed consumer inflation at 7.9%. And rising inflation is important to monitor because it can have a big impact on mortgage bonds and home loan rates, which are tied to them. So why is rising inflation significant to mortgage rates? Besides causing higher prices, inflation is the archenemy of fixed investments like mortgage bonds because it erodes the buying power of the bond's fixed rate of return. If inflation is rising, investors demand a higher rate of return to combat the faster pace of erosion due to inflation, which causes interest rates to rise. So the Fed is expected to address inflation at its meeting this week with expectations of a 25 basis point hike to the federal funds rate. Remember, the federal funds rate is the interest rate for overnight borrowing for banks, and it's not the same thing as mortgage rates. Hiking the federal funds rate will actually be a good thing for mortgage rates if it curbs inflation and preserves the fixed return on long-term bonds. However, the Fed could alternatively reduce their balance sheet, meaning they no longer are reinvesting in bonds each month, which would cause more supply on the market that has to be absorbed, and that would cause mortgage interest rates to move higher. So if we are to see a recession, how much will it impact housing? If we look at the history of recession since 1960, housing either remained stable or values increased in almost all of them. The exception is 2009, but that recession was caused by the housing bubble. That recession did not cause the housing bubble. So remember, most recently, during the 2020 recession, home prices powered higher. So the bottom line is that we will watch the Fed closely to see how it tries to curb inflation in 2022 by walking that tightrope of hiking and allowing a balance sheet runoff. Regardless, if you don't panic, the borrowers won't panic. Interest rates are still low, owning is better than renting, and homes are an asset that continue to appreciate. So let's work together to get more buyers into homes in 2022.